It was a shock, even a mystery for many, as to how American soccer journalist Grant Wahl died so suddenly in Qatar. Well, today his wife, Dr. Celine Gounder, said that he suffered an aortic aneurysm while he was covering the World Cup. He passed away on Friday during the Argentina-Netherlands match. His body, though, came back to the United States on Monday. There was an autopsy done. That's where the aneurysm was discovered. So we want to talk about an aortic aneurysm with our 9 Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. So what is an aneurysm? Is it something we should walk around in fear of?
An aneurysm is an outpouching of a blood vessel. So the aorta is the most important blood vessel we have. It's the big tube that carries all the blood that goes to our entire body out of our heart. So an aneurysm is an outpouching of that aorta. Now, where it happens in the aorta, if it happens in the chest, it's called a thoracic aneurysm. And if it happens in the belly, it's called an abdominal aneurysm.
Okay.
Now, you may have heard of people having aneurysms in their brain as
Yes.
well. So it can really happen in any blood vessel. Those are called cerebral aneurysms because they're happening in the brain. So it's just a weakening outpouching of the blood vessel. And you can imagine this is carrying all our body's blood. So if it ruptures or pops, that can be very catastrophic. But Tom, to answer your question, we don't really all have to worry about it except if we have certain risk factors. So the guidelines are we should get screened if we're over the age of 65 and if we've ever smoked, or if we've had a family history of aneurysms, because this travels in families as well, and perhaps even a little bit younger.
How do you screen for that, though? That's not invasive to have to screen for that?
No, it's a quick, easy ultrasound to look in the belly for an abdominal aneurysm, and for looking in the chest, it would be a CT scan. Similarly, for looking in the brain, it would be a CT scan.
So when this ruptures, I mean, there's no warning signs?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
And so basically 2 things can happen to an aneurysm. Think about a water balloon that's stretched out a little bit too much. So the first thing is it can rupture, and that's the force of the blood, basically the pumping heart that can pop it, so to speak. And the second is what's called a dissection, an aortic dissection, which is a tear in the wall of the balloon, the wall of the aorta, where the blood starts then filling into that wall, causing that to sort of extend, and that can also be catastrophic. So no warning signs really, for the most part. Now, some very rare people can start to have compressive symptoms, meaning it's getting so big that it's pushing on other things like nerves or your belly or your organs or something else. So you could feel a pulsatile mass in your belly. You could have
pulsatile. Explain that. What kind of a mass in your belly?
It's a mass that pulses every time your heart
feel
beats.
it. Yeah.
You feel it. And so sometimes people come in saying their belly is pulsing, and that's that aneurysm kind of expanding, pushing out. What you're feeling is the wall of the aorta pulsing.
But if you did, like you were fortunate to have those warning signs, then what do you do as a doctor? That doesn't sound like something easy.
So there's 2 ways to sort of think about treating an aneurysm. One is to prevent it from progressing. So we want to sort of pause the progression, and that we do risk factor. We control their blood pressure. We put them in medications that can protect the aorta. But the second is if it's either getting too big too fast or it's just too big, period, it's at risk for popping or tearing. That's when we want to do surgery to try to repair it preventively. So the idea here really is not to look for symptoms. It's to screen if you have risk factors and then to monitor in a serial fashion.
Well, he was beloved by many, including his wife, who I know you knew a little bit in college. But it's just one of those things, I think, as such a healthy guy, it's a shame because he had no clue, no chance to know that he possibly had this lurking and that it would come and get him.
And this one case from my training haunts me. It was a 42-year-old investment banker, healthy, lived a clean life, happened to have a family history but didn't know it. One day he was at work trading, stock market was going down, stood up, clutched his chest and fell over, and there was no recovery from that. So very much like this unexpected, sort of tragic sort of a death, but it does hopefully teach the rest of us about risk factors for aneurysms.
Be aware, maybe it'll help. Thanks for coming in, Dr. Payal Kohli. Good to see you.